Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Guys, remain standing, please. Sorry. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord, thank you for the gift of time for growing and learning, and for the gift of Catholic education. Inspired by St. Catherine Drexel, we thank you for all of your gifts to us, especially those of the teachers, staff, and volunteers. Please watch over our school community and help us all be models of faith, excellence, and service. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I am pleased to be here today and to present to you the students in grades 3 through 8 who will be representing their classes in today's contest. Today, students in grades 3 through 5 will be presenting their speeches first, followed by the students in grades 6 through 8. Before we begin with the intermediate students, I would like to share the guidelines and speech topics with you. Students in grades 3 to 5 had to write and present a 2 to 3 minute speech on one of the following topics. If I were president, what would you do if you were the president of the United States? Share your thoughts on changes you would make if you were president. Science fiction. You are beginning to think that aliens live in your town. You know they are there, but you're not sure who is disguised as an alien and who is not. Write a speech that gives evidence that supports your idea that aliens live in your town. 3 wishes. If you could have 3 wishes, what would they be? Write a speech in which you explain what each of your 3 wishes would be. Why would you pick those wishes? Which would be your top wish? Memories. Of all of your memories, what has been one that stands out to you the most? Write about one of your favorite memories so far. Who was there? Where were you? What were you doing? And what made your memories so special? I would now like to introduce our intermediate speech contest contestants. When I call your name, please stand up. So in 3rd grade, we have Simone Friedman, Charlotte Connolly, Ellie Joseph, Lachlan Mclean, and our alternate is Elsie Barber. In 4th grade, we have Avery Samson, Addison Cinelli, Reed Walutis, Michaela Modini, and our alternates are Bryn Bova and Isla Cass. And in 5th grade, we have Sophia Altamurano, Ali Pakisasi, Wesley Wassel, Edward Cabrera Brooks, and our alternates are Jean-Pierre Betancourt and Adelaide Connolly. Our judges today are Ms. Aranio, Ms. Barisi, and Mr. Turnbull. After hearing all of the speeches today, our judges will take some time to choose the winners of our competition. The top 3 students will be recognized for their performance today. Participants drew numbers earlier to determine the order in which they will take the stage. So we will have 3, 4, and 5 go first, and then I will announce 6 through 8. So now I would like to wish all of our intermediate students good luck, and will Wesley Wassel please take the stage?
Good morning to the CAF teachers, faculty, and friends. Do you believe that science fiction can come to life? It's always fiction, you know. Aliens are real. You may not know this, but I have seen one. It was 11:45 p.m. and I was trying to get some sleep, but I couldn't get any. Some time went by, and as I finally started to doze off to sleep, meow, it was the neighbor's cat. She was always such an odd old lady. She always had cats coming at head to toe. I tried to talk to her once when she was on a walk with her cat, but she just ominously stared at me. Anyway, I decided to look out the window to see if the neighbor's cats got out again. And as my head turned to the right, under a small dim light by a house were a giant pair of legs just standing there. They're shiny, almost scaly. Whatever it was, it was tall and bony. There was another meow, but this time it was more distorted. It was the old lady. At this point, I was beginning to think that there were aliens in my town. Could it possibly be an alien? Could the old lady be an alien? Are the cats aliens too? In fear, I slipped and hit my head. The next day I woke up and I didn't feel well. Ever since that incident, I've been beginning to notice a lot of missing posters. It started off with smaller animals, like hamsters and rodents, but then it moved on to larger animals, like cats and dogs. Recently, I've been beginning to notice missing posters for people. And also, I've been noticing a lack of hot water. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it happened. I believe that my neighbor is an alien, and soon I may need to take action. Thank you.
Okay, next we will have Sophia Altamurano.
Hi, my name is Sophia Altamurano. My speech topic is when we got a dog Oreo. It was a peaceful day. We were looking for a Dalmatian because my dad thought they were smart, friendly, strong, brave, and active. A couple hours later, we found a website selling Dalmatians. After searching for a while, we found the perfect ones. We looked and started calling the number, and when she answered, she said they were available and we could pick them up on Saturday. On Friday, before we could pick them up, we packed food and snacks because it was a 6-hour drive. Once we got there, we picked a Dalmatian because it was one of my brother's favorite dogs. I wanted the girl, but we found out the boy was special because his tail was crooked, and if someone didn't buy him, he would be put to sleep. My mom felt bad for him and decided, let's get him. We got him, and let's just say the car ride back was crazy. He did some unmentionable things. We stopped at a supermarket, got lunch and food for home, then went to Petco and bought him stuff. The settlement to having a dog was crazy because he was not used to going outside. We bought pee pads, diapers, cage to train him, then he gets used to it. After a while, he destroyed everything. He mostly ran around the house, he jumped the cage, he whined when in the cage and slipped when running. Then we introduced him to the guinea pigs. He was calm with them, a little playful but gentle. Now Oreo sleeps with me in my room where he loves to be. Oreo is goofy, playful, clumsy, lazy, sleepy, overprotective, loves swimming in the pool, and loves going outside. But from all that, we love him. Thank you.
Our next contestant will be Ollie Pakisasi.
Okay, this is the oddest thing that happened to me today. I had a feeling that somebody is watching me. I looked back, but all I saw was a green ear. Strange, huh? The date I'm currently writing this note on is March 1st, 1983. When I saw the thing it had a watch on, it showed March 1st, 2022. I freaked out and ran. In the sky, there was a huge UFO. I am so confused. I think it is an alien. How could that be? It looks just like a human. Well, a green human. March 4th, 1983. Today in town, I thought the people were acting strange. They weren't green, but weren't human-like. Nobody is acting normal. Whenever I walk into town, they stare. I think the town is infected with aliens. I am currently in my room hiding. The only time I go out is for food. I am writing this note to send help. My family's out of town, so I am alone. I have a pretty good idea who is an alien. I think it's everyone. Today, when I drove into town, I saw the UFO again. It's kind of like they want me to know that they're an alien. I'm running out of space on this paper note. Please, if anyone is reading this, I need to know if you have any clues that they could be an alien. An alien. you could research for me? I don't have a computer. It broke right when I was looking at the UFO. This could not be. Are these aliens taking over? March 30th, 1983. I have adapted to this new habit, to this town. The aliens have accepted me. I promise to never tell anyone. Should I have made this deal? My family is not allowed to talk to me anymore. I can already tell. I'm in for a big change. Thank you.
Next up, we have Ellie Joseph.
Good morning, Sister Kathy, teachers, and friends of OLH. My name is Ellie Joseph, and I'm here to tell you 3 things I do as the President of the United States of America. My first order of business would be to stop global warming. This is very important because it's not good for the Arctic, plants, and people. It's especially harmful for animals. Think of all those little penguins and polar bears. I thought about using limes for fuel, but then I realized that we'd have to cut down all the trees in the world and replace them with lime trees, just to fuel a couple of 100 cars. So maybe that's not such a good idea. But there are many other good ideas out there. Next, I would stop hungry children. This is very important because I once read a book about the Great Depression, and I don't want that to happen again. It sounded so horrible. To stop this from happening, I would start a bunch of organizations that give $100 per hungry child per week. I would also start a bunch of businesses that will be up for hire. Maybe that will help with the food problems. Finally, I would extend recess time, even in the cold. I would accomplish that by making warm bubbles for the winter. I would also pass a law that states each school should have at least 35 minutes of recess per day. I think that kids should have time outside and a break from the classroom. I have a lifetime before I'm president, so I hope I can count on your votes. Thank you all and have a nice day.
Up next, from 3rd grade, we have Charlotte Connolly.
Good morning, Sister Kathy, teachers and friends at OLH. My name is Charlotte Connolly, and the topic of my speech is my 3 wishes and why. Hello, my name is Charlotte Connolly, and I'm going to be sharing my 3 wishes and why. Now, when I think of wishes, I don't really think of any boundaries, so one of my 3 wishes may be a bit unusual, but let's get to it. Number 1, to go to Hogwarts. The reason why I want to go to Hogwarts is because I can meet Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, and Ron Weasley. Another reason is so I can learn even more about witchcraft and wizardry. You know, I can go on and on about this, but I don't want to give away any spoilers. Number 2. Number 2, to be able to control the weather. Now, the reason for this is because say you're having a bad day and it's rainy, but you want it to be sunny. Well, that's where I come in. Ta-da! Your day's fixed, and it's all because of me. You're welcome. And now it comes down to my final wish. Well, number 3, to go to Yale. The reason I want to go to Yale is so I can pursue my dreams of becoming an actor or a director. I can also make many more memories just like this one. Thank you so much for listening to my speech, and have a nice day.
Up next, we have Avery Samson.
Good afternoon. My name is Avery Samson, and I'm going to be telling you if I were President of the United States. If I were President of the United States, I would want to make our country a more peaceful place. I would want people to get along even when they don't agree. It's okay if you have different opinions, but you should always be respectful of each other's viewpoints. When we listen to each other, we open up an opportunity to learn from each other. I think this would be a good change to make because our country is so divided. And as president, I would make sure every member of Congress would have to vote anonymously. This way, no one would know how the other person voted. As president, I would make sure that I would make sure that all of the people around the world would learn all by me. I would make sure that I could teach them and make them learn at good schools like OLH. And if I were president, I would make again that all of the people that are homeless would get food. And like Dr. Luther King Jr. once said, I have a dream. My dream is for all the people in the world, in this great country, to get what they want and grow up to be whatever they want to be. And they can make tomorrow a better place. And speaking of better place, I would make sure that every school playground would be turned into a water park. Thank you.
Next up, we have Lachlan Mclean.
My name is Lachlan. In this speech, I will tell you about one of my favorite memories. One of my favorite memories is when I went to St. Bart's with my family. My dad and stepmom took my brother, sister, and I there for a week over Thanksgiving. We took a plane to St. Martin, then took another plane over to St. Bart's. St. Bart's is a French-owned island located in the Caribbean. Most people there speak French, but my dad, brother, and I do not, even though my dad took French in high school. My stepmom does Duolingo in French and is pretty good at it. My stepsister also does Duolingo, and she studies it in school. We rented a villa in St. Bart's for 5 days on a lagoon. Then we went to a hotel called Cheval Blanc, White Horse in French, for 2 days. At the villa, we went snorkeling, paddleboarding, and saw all sorts of fish. At the hotel, I went body surfing, and I ate the best burger I ever had and won the pool. We went hiking at Colombier, a hiking beach. One of the hikes had stairs all the way up and all the way down. The other hike was not as hard. It was rocky and bumpy. We went to Governor's Beach and a hotel called the Bartholomew. We went snorkeling and saw sea turtles and fish at both. We rented a Mini Cooper, but when everyone was in the car, we were squished. This memory was so special to me because it was so much fun after being locked in the house for so long because of COVID. Thank you.
Up next, we have Michaela Modini.
My name is Michaela Modini. Something weird has been happening in my town. I shouldn't even be talking about it because they could be anywhere, everywhere. I think I can trust you. So here's the story. Aliens are moving into our neighborhoods. I knew this when I kept finding goop everywhere, on the bus, in the store, and even on my mom's hairbrush. This is where it got weird. 3 nights ago, I heard a weird sound coming from my mom's room, so I went to check it out. Then I saw flashing lights coming out from under her door. I tried to get in, but the door was locked. By the time I got in, my mom was gone. Mom has got taken by aliens, I thought fearfully. Even though I was scared, I had to investigate further. So I looked for splotches of goop, and I did not have to search very long to find it all over the place. Next, I looked under her bed, and you won't believe what I saw. A big UFO. Then it hit me. My mom is an alien. I went to school the next morning and didn't tell anybody about what happened. Finally, the bell rang, and I ran home from school. When my mom got home from work, I asked her why she has a UFO under your bed. She said that she's an alien and so is my dog and my bunny. She was going to tell me everything when I turned 10. Then she said the coolest thing I had ever heard. I was born on planet Goop, a whole new galaxy of people I haven't met yet. This got me thinking, who else is an alien?
Up next, we have Simone Friedman.
Hello, my name is Simone Friedman, and for my speech, I'll be doing 3 wishes. First, before I start, I would like to thank everybody who helped put this event together and gave me the opportunity to be in it. Now, if I had wishes, I would choose these 3. Number 1, a sunset. I know it's just a little thing and it'll only last about 30 minutes, but I love the scene and they're beautiful. They're a nice part of nature and a lovely gift from God. Number 2, I would like to be able to remember all my thoughts and pictures and fun memories. I've had some great memories that I've been told about or seen pictures of that I don't really remember. I'd like to remember my beautiful memories that I've experienced with my mom, dad, and brother, like trips and other homes that I've had. Number 3, I would like to have laughter. Laughter is so important. It makes me happy. Laughter it is good to give to others. Laughter is very important and it's good to laugh. Laughter brings me much joy. Thank you for letting me share my 3 wishes with you. Now, when you get home, how about you think about your 3 wishes? Thank you and have a great day.
Up next, we have Reed Walutis.
Hi, my name is Reed Lewis, and I know that aliens are real. We are actually surrounded by them, even here at OLH. I have been studying the people that come to the school, and believe it or not, I have found 4 aliens. The first alien I will tell you about is someone we all know and love. She is always talking numbers and new ways to solve the equations. Her equations sound like a foreign language, maybe even an alien language. If you haven't guessed it by now, our first alien is our wonderful math teacher, Mrs. D. Believe it or not, I have found another alien who is also a teacher at our school. He loves to show us instruments that make noises that are most definitely out of this world. I think he uses his instruments to send messages to his fellow aliens. You guessed it, our second alien is Mr. Bizarre. Believe it or not, I have found one more faculty member at our school who I am most certain is an alien. She hears and knows throughout the entire school. She must have super hearing and eyes on the back of her head. If the aliens had a leader, it would definitely be her. The third alien is our very own Sister Kathy. The final alien I have to tell you about, he's a boy in the 4th grade. He's pretty smart because his alien brain lets him learn pretty quickly. He's very chatty and energetic. But being an alien, you don't really get tired. If you don't know who it is by now, listen closely. The final alien is me, Reed Walutis. Now calm down, calm down, calm down. I may be an alien, but I promise you, we come in peace. Now before I go, I feel I should tell you this. My studies picked up 4 aliens, but they also have shown that there are many, many more. So take a look around you. The person sitting next to you could very well be an alien. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Addison Cinelli.
Good afternoon. My name is Addison Cinelli, and today is the day I announced that I'm running for president. And my first law will be no homework. Just kidding. Being president of the United States is one of the hardest jobs in the world. It is a position that comes with a lot of responsibility, and everyone's expectations are very high. As president, I would work very hard to make sure that the USA remains the best place to live. I'm going to tell you about a few of my main focal points so you know how I plan on getting this job done. As president, I would make sure that all Americans are taken care of. To start, I will focus on ending hunger in the United States. To ensure that all mouths are fed, I will make it a law that all children in the United States in need of food receive free lunch, breakfast, and dinner from schools. In addition, I would start a program that pays people to shop from local farm stands. This would provide fresh food for the hungry and support local businesses. My plan also includes helping the homeless. I would enforce a mandatory health evaluation to first see if any health care is needed. After their health screenings, I would put them in jobs that fit their ability. This would provide money for the homeless to keep them off the streets and grow the wealth of the United States. In order for the U.S. to remain the best, we need to cut down crime. My main priority is to support the police so they can help keep everyone safe. Anyone who does get in trouble will have to face very strict punishments. Enforcing the law and being hard on criminals will make criminals scared to break the law. And finally, I plan on reducing pollution so that America is a safe and healthy place to breathe. If you litter, you will have to face very strict punishments. Instead of littering, people will be rewarded for recycling. People will also be rewarded for using electric cars or power that comes from the earth, like solar power or wind. All of my ideas for when I'm president will benefit every American and give everyone a chance for success. So remember, vote Addison Cinelli for president.
Our last intermediate contestant will be Edward Cabrera Brooks.
Hello, my name is Edward Brooks and I'm running for President of the United States of America. If I were President of the United States, I could do a lot to change this country. But I would only focus on the things that I believe would help this country the most. First, I would work to create laws that stop pollution. It is crucial to keep our environment clean and to clean our oceans. I would require that all Americans use more hydraulic, wind, and solar power in order to reduce pollution levels. This would clean the air and help and improve quality of life for all Americans. Second, I would preserve national parks. Everyone needs a place to chill out, take a break, and take a hike. That's why I would preserve our national parks. I would also work to preserve our city parks and protect them from crime and vandalism. Third, I would ensure that government funds are used on infrastructure bills in big cities and in places where it's needed, like Louisiana. This would open up jobs for many people and it would increase quality of life. Finally, I would work to create a new National Historical Society. A new National Historical Society would be needed and located in Washington, D.C., and would be funded by our government. A new National Historical Society would be needed since most Americans don't know about the War of 1812. These are the things I would do if I were President of the United States of America. Cleaning the environment, protecting our national parks, and making a new National Historical Society, and stopping pollution would all make me a good president. I might also do some less serious things, like making it illegal for schools to use Journey's books. Thank you. My name is Edward Brooks, and vote for me on Election Day.
That concludes the intermediate speeches, so now we will move on to the prep speeches. Before we begin, I would like to take a minute to share the guidelines and speeches for students in grades 6 through 8. Students in grades 6 through 8 had to write and present a 3 to 5 minute speech on one of the following topics. Time travel. You find a time machine that can take you to any day in the history of mankind. If you were to get in the time machine, what day in history would you travel to? What do you think it would feel like to be part of such an important day? Make sure to include at least 3 reasons for why you chose to go back to this date in history. Best Bible story. What is your favorite Bible story? Write a persuasive speech on why you think your favorite Bible story is the best one. Make sure to give a brief summary about what the story is about and explain why it is the best. The future. What is your vision for the future? What would you like to see happening in the world in 20 years? Include what you would like to see in terms of schooling, technology, and the well-being of people in general. Social media. Do you think social media has had a positive or negative impact on the youth of today? Write a speech in which you choose a side and discuss why you think social media has been positive or negative. Make sure to include at least 3 reasons to support your choice. I would now like to introduce the prep speech contestants. When I call your name, please stand up. From 6th grade, we have Olivia Caruso, Catherine Porter, Caitlin Lynch, Ruby Boating, and our alternates are Maeve Springer and Grace McCormick. From 7th grade, we have Julia Delaquila, Henry Broidy, Emma Tillotson, Lucy Tillotson, and our alternates are Jan Gradisa and Oliver Nielsen. 8th grade, we have Kira Cameron, Hannah Pack, Bianca Alvarado, Brian Spellman, and our alternates are Ryan Seville and Olivia Grippo. So once again, after hearing all the speeches today, our judges will take some time to choose the winners, and then we will announce the top 3 students in the intermediate and the prep. I would now like to welcome to the stage Catherine Porter.
The future through my eyes. The future belongs to anyone who believes in the beauty of their dreams, said Eleanor Roosevelt. That's what flew through my mind as I watched the TV broadcasting polar bears trying to get to land as the ice they're standing on tore apart. It broke my heart. I first thought of the cause. Global warming, pollution. If there is one thing I hate, it's pollution. Pollution causes global warming, as you know, higher sea levels, wildlife extinction, and many more terrible things. My ideas are everything should go electric. Electric cars, electric heating systems, electric boats, and anything else humanity can think of. Other than global warming, I think there's a few more things we can fix over the next 20 years. Like schooling, kids should be able to pick whatever language they want to learn. Some children might want to live in a different country when they grow up, so they would want to learn that language. And adults are always saying it's easier to learn a different language as a child. Technology is another area I think should improve and definitely will improve. Zoom and Google Meet should offer a 3D effect, like having a projector showing the person you're talking to face, especially in the era of COVID. Health is one of the most important factors of the future, because I believe most people should be around to see what the future has in store for us. For better health, there should be more hospitals built, so if someone is having a serious condition, the doctors can come and save them faster. I want doctors to come up with a cure for cancer and other diseases that don't have a cure for yet. Health should be the main focus of the future, because after all, we can't do anything if we're not healthy. World peace is the most important for me. Wars should never be a solution to a problem. People should not die because of wars. I feel terrible for the refugees and little children without a home. Problems should be solved with diplomacy. World hunger is another problem that bothers me all the time. Wealthier and more developed nations should help more third world countries with food, clean water, medications, and schools, so people have a chance to accomplish and develop their full potential. Human rights should be protected. Child labor should not exist. Child marriage, too. Children should be allowed to be children. Women should be equal to men everywhere in the world. I feel privileged to be born in the United States of America, the most progressive country in the world. I believe we still have a lot of work to do here, like being more tolerant towards each other, but I believe God will protect and help us, be the world leader, the one who cares about the well-being of humanity, all animals, and our beautiful planet Earth. Thank you.
Up next, we have Caitlin Lynch.
Hi, my name is Caitlin. I have a crazy story to tell you. One day, I was walking to school, and while I was walking, I saw this weird object. It was neon yellow and glowing, waiting for someone to walk into it. The weird object was narrow and tall. Should I go in? I asked myself. If you know me well, I do the craziest things mankind has ever seen. I went around the weird object again. Eventually, I was just too anxious to keep on walking around it, so I decided to go in. I thought for a while, oh wait, I have school. Well, who needs to go to school anyways? I just hopped in the weird object. I thought for a while, where should I go first? I can go to my mom at school and see how she does. And I thought, oh, it's a time machine. I thought for a while, where should I go first? I can go to my mom at school and see how she does. I've always wondered what she looked like then. I've seen photos, but photos don't tell a story. Was she a hardworking student, or was she just a girl who falls asleep and daydreams during class? My mom tells me and my sister I was a great student when I was little. Now it's time to go back to 1990 and see my mom at OLH. There my mom and her friends. Should I introduce myself or keep my identity a secret? I look like all the other girls because I have my uniform on. I don't want to look too suspicious around here. It feels so weird walking around somewhere I've been before, but the place looks so different. Oh wait, I haven't seen my classroom, and I haven't seen Miss Kennedy. Now, let's go to the Prep 6. Wow, this room looks so different. Miss McCary says it's still in the same place, so. Oh no, a class is coming back. I must hide. I see this brown-haired lady. I think she's a 6th grade teacher. And then I finally found her name tag. It was my mom's teacher, Miss Algieri. This is getting way too odd. Let's go see Miss Kennedy. There she is. She looks so different. Okay, let's go back to the time machine. Wait, I know something hilarious to see. My mom breaking a window in 8th grade. Let's go back to 1992 and see my mom get scolded by Sister Kathy. There she is, playing catch with 2 other kids in her class. Boom! I heard a window crack. Could that be her? The auditorium was silent. My mom was getting in big trouble. Shame on her. Let's go back to the time machine. Now I know that she's a really bad kid. I think it's almost 2 p.m. My mom will be concerned about where I am. Let's take one more quick trip to see how my grandparents met. I'd love to see my grandpa, who recently died of cancer. There he is, and he's with a woman. Is that my grandma? Oh no, he saw me. He probably thinks I'm a weird psychopath stalking him. This is a really fun adventure, but I must get back. I should my last look at my grandpa forever. I had to give him my last hug forever. He thought I was a weird person, because he had no idea who I was. I said bye, holding back my tears. I had to go back to the time machine before he called the cops on his own granddaughter. This is probably the best 5 hours of my life. In the time machine, I taped today's date, February 1st, 2022. I had a nice welcoming hug from my mom. Shh, don't tell anyone. This is our secret.
Up next, we have Emma Tillotson.
Strong characters. Sorry. Strong characters. A bold journey to a foreign land. A fresh start. Falling in love. What's not to like about a story that includes all that? Add in the 2 main characters that are both women and bam, you've got my favorite Bible story, the Book of Ruth. The Book of Ruth begins as Elimelech takes Naomi, his wife, and his 2 sons to Moab. There, one of their sons marries a woman named Ruth, and the other son marries a woman named Orpah. Elimelech and the 2 sons die, leaving Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah all widowed. Naomi wants to return to Israel, her native home,
and wants Ruth and Orpah to return to their families. Orpah returns to her family, but Ruth, Naomi's only daughter-in-law left, refuses to leave and stays with Naomi. Ruth travels along with Naomi to Israel, and soon enough, Ruth marries a kind farmer named Boaz. So what makes this book so special for me? First, I love how the main characters are women. The Bible is pretty patriarchal, so to have females as main characters makes me really happy. I also like how Naomi puts her daughters-in-law first, telling them to go back to their families after their husbands have died. She puts their needs in front of her own, and that touches my heart. But Ruth insists on staying with her mother-in-law and moving with her to Israel. Ruth says to Naomi, "Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people will be my people, and your God my God." That is just so inspirational. She is saying, "I will stay with you through good times and bad. Together and with faith, we will find a way." It seems to me that is exactly how family and friendship should be. These two strong women then travel to Israel, penniless, and start to make a life there. They are just so supportive and brave, not knowing what was coming next, but striking out nonetheless, together. There, the two females scrape by. They collect grain left behind after the harvest. There, Ruth meets a kind man named Boaz. Naomi gives Ruth advice on how Ruth might woo him. Ruth listens and fashions her own path. It works. Ruth and Boaz fall in love and eventually marry. So what messages do I take away from the Book of Ruth? Be strong, be brave, be kind, and most importantly, to run toward people to run toward people when they're in trouble, not away from them. Thank you.
Up next, we have Julia Dell'Aquila.
Hello, I'm Julia, and I've been thinking about how social media affects children of today. I'll be breaking this broad topic down by weighing the pros and cons of extremely influential social media platforms. Just take note that there aren't many positive things to say. With that in mind, let's begin with YouTube. This is probably the most influential social media platform ever. Its wide range of content and videos makes it the perfect place for entertainment, right? Wrong. I agree that the videos are entertaining and engaging, but they're so engaging that you can't look away. You're so busy watching something that you can't do your homework, do what you need to do in life in general, and exercise. Have I put it into perspective? YouTube is such a normal for us that it's become instinctual. You get home from school, go to your bed, and watch YouTube for the rest of the day. Rinse and repeat. I want you to imagine something quickly. Imagine there is no YouTube. No distractions from your day, and no procrastinating from your homework. Just you doing what you need to do in your life. I know that sounds horrible to a lot of you, but to me that sounds a lot better than sleeping in bed all day. Snapchat is another famous, influential social media platform. You take cute pictures of yourself with cute filters on your cell phone and message with your friends, like via texting. Nothing can be bad about this, right? Wrong again. Though I agree the filters are adorable and the messaging with your friends is nice, Snapchat has things called stories. These stories are like your typical TikTok profile. Basically what you do, you take videos and photos of yourself and put them on your story if you so choose. And anyone can see these. Anyone can. That's kind of off to me. Speaking of off, let's talk about the tracking system. What the tracking system does is locate where you are and show it to your friends. That's private information. That's just morally wrong. For a quick switch away from the negatives,
I don't think Snapchat is as addictive as YouTube or TikTok. I also think it's actually a great app to have if you just use it for the filters and the messaging. I just think the cons of stories outweigh the positives here. TikTok is my final social media addiction I will speak about. TikTok's a lot like YouTube in the sense that they make videos and you post them online, except the videos on TikTok are a lot shorter and most of the time concise. But I'd say that TikTok is actually more addicting than YouTube, surprisingly. On TikTok, there's a recommended page. Now, the recommended page, what you do is you swipe on the recommended page and you go to the next TikTok. And one swipe leads to another, and another, and another, until you're hooked for hours, instead of doing what you actually need to get done, like doing your homework or maybe touching some grass. In conclusion, social media platforms in general are unhealthy for children of today. I always see children outside on their phones, on the street, checking YouTube and Snapchat and TikTok, but what they really should be doing is balancing their lives by enjoying the tangible world around them. Thank you.
Up next, we have Lucy Tillotson.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lucy Tillotson. Time is something people talk about like wind, drifting through the air, seeking presence. Time holds memories, stories, and important moments of history that we gaze upon in remembrance, sometimes more recognized than others. But the whole timeline of the world is remembered by everyone. Different people remember different moments. When I think of moments in American history, there is one that always grabs me. It angers me and makes me ultimately happy with the victory. That day is when Abraham Lincoln declared freedom for all African American slaves. This was the beginning of the end of slavery in the United States. Remembering this day reminds me how cruel and selfish many Americans used to be. But when President Lincoln declared freedom for all slaves, this was beginning to put an end to the horror that was brought upon millions of lives. Abraham Lincoln was a hero. The day I'll travel back to is January 1st, 1863. I would like to know how and where President Lincoln delivered the Emancipation Proclamation. Those words coming out of his mouth would entrance me, and hearing or seeing the Emancipation Proclamation would be bewitching, for it was one of the best statements in our history. Since it was so long ago, and nothing could be recorded, this moment in history would have to be passed down orally, through our great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, and so on until you reach our generation. The proclamation declared that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are, and henceforward shall be free. Even though slaves will not be fully free until the 13th Amendment, President Lincoln started it all. Today we still speak of him and what he has done for our country. If I could talk to him, I would say, Mr. President, what you are doing will change the whole history of America as we know it, and I thank you. I am thankful because he sets in motion the end of horrific madness. This madness is forcing innocent lives to work against their will just because of the color of their skin. Why was it that certain people were treated like property so much? Why was it that we couldn't just accept that Africans were human beings and they had feelings, emotions, and voices? Well, we saw them as slaves due to the color of their skin, which is one of the worst, heartless choices America has made as a country. I would also go back to January 1st, 1863, to see the reactions of the free people. Everyone should have been happy, relieved, overjoyed, but some loathed this decision, hated that they soon had to pay for people to work for them. They were upset that the slaves would one day very soon not be their property anymore. Those angered people needed to open their eyes and hearts and realize what they were doing, and that President Lincoln was doing them a favor. And eventually, those people that hated this movement would open their eyes and hearts. But it would take a very long time for those people to realize. What do you think the slaves thought of this? They must have shouted and wept with joy, for they could soon be free. Finally, they would have freedom. I would want to be with them and celebrate. This day, African Americans celebrate what they call the Second Independence Day. This day is called Juneteenth, celebrated on June 19th. It is a day when African Americans celebrate the emancipation of the enslaved people in the United States. This first started in Texas, when General Gordon Granger enforced President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation in 1865. Therefore, this was a time worth celebrating over and over again. President Lincoln started something America will never forget. People can ignore the past horror of slavery, but it still remains in their hearts and minds. It reminds us of what America did. It reminds us that America had a lot to fix. It reminds us that America has gotten better, and getting better was a start. President Lincoln showed us that taking the first step can lead to something marvelous, and that step did. Thank you.
Up next, we have Olivia Caruso.
Hello, everybody. I have a question to ask. Have you ever walked into a grocery store or coffee shop and seen kids doing something like this? Or you walk into a restaurant and everybody's doing this. Or this. Social media is everywhere, and whether we like it or not, it has a huge impact on youth today. For many kids, social media is a big part of their life. Surveys show that 95% of teens have access to a smartphone. Even they admit that they constantly check their phones, pressured to stay current with the changing feeds of their peers. The 4 most downloaded social media apps are TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook. A report from Common Sense Media found that 1 in 4 teens is a heavy social media user, and that 51% of teens visit social networking sites on a daily basis. Now, there can be some benefits to social media. Teens can use social media to connect with people, play games, and have fun. For a lot of teens, it plays a key role in their connections with friends and family. While there are ways to safely and responsibly use social media, I've made the personal decision not to have it in my life. Participating in social media carries many risks. Even if you're using it just to have fun, without even knowing it, you can be exposed to a lot of inappropriate content. Social media can become very addictive and affect our mental health. This is the time in our life when we are growing and maturing. Being on a phone or computer all day can affect our development in a negative way. Social media use has been associated with depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem. A major cause of these negative mental states is cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is a big problem in the teen world. This can include online threats, mean or rude comments, or anything that gets posted online that is meant to hurt, harass, or embarrass someone else. The most common age for cyberbullying is the transition period between primary and high school, around 11 to 12 years old. I don't know about you, but I'm 11 and I definitely don't ever want to be exposed to any kind of cyberbullying. Another reason why I choose not to participate in social media is because of all the time it takes up. Social media is known for being very addictive. Most of the time, kids won't even realize all the time they've wasted. Also, studies show that if you spend too much time on a device, you may have trouble sleeping. Lack of sleep can cause trouble concentrating and functioning. Instead of spending my free time on social media, I choose to spend my time by doing my loads of homework, playing sports, music, and just having regular fun. There's so much more to do than look at a screen. You can ride your bike, go for a walk, or just hang out. Those were a few cons, but the main reason why I choose to stay off of social media is because it makes kids feel like they have to compare themselves. I am who I am. Nobody should be made to feel like they're not amazing. We're all our own person, and we don't have to change who we are just for popularity. I may not be up to date with today's top trends, but I don't care. Neither should you. I hope that this speech will inspire kids to be who they are. So come, fellow students, and join me in this new revolution of no social media.
Up next, we have Kira Cameron.
Hello, and good afternoon. My name is Kira Cameron, and today I will be sharing with you the best Bible story. The best Bible story is hands down David and Goliath. David and Goliath is a story armed with inferior weapons, but empowered by God, in which David kills the mighty Goliath. This triumph marked Israel's first victory at the hands of David. It's the story of a 9-foot-tall monster versus a guy who has a slingshot with him. So hear me out on this one. King Saul thought that Goliath was too big to fight, and on the other hand, David thought Goliath was too big to miss. David and Goliath is the best Bible story because it shows us to have a heart of God, and it's basically a story of Godzilla fighting a mouse. But aside from that, David and Goliath has so many morals that a lot of people can take from. David and Goliath is a popular Bible story that shows the lessons of courage, faith, and making the impossible possible. David, the youngest of Jesse's 12 sons, stayed back from the army, while the rest of his brothers went to go fight. One of the Philistines, the people they were fighting, was named Goliath. Goliath stood over 9 feet tall and proceeded to mock the Israelites and their God. But the Israelites did nothing. Back at home, David was sent to bring battle news back to his father. So David gathered his slingshot, a couple of stones, and made his way to the battlefield, only to find Goliath mocking them. So David told King Saul that he volunteers to fight Goliath, all on his own and without any armor whatsoever. So David walks up to Goliath and pulls out his trusty slingshot. Goliath laughs. David then pulls out a stone and proceeds to aim, shoot, and bam, Goliath is dead. They've won. But then David proceeds to grab Goliath's sword and walk over to Goliath and cut his head clean off. With their greatest soldier down, the Philistines scattered in fear. Come on, I mean, is that not a great story? There are so many morals you could take from it, and I'll uncover a few myself. First off, believing it's possible. The Israelites did not believe in themselves to defeat Goliath. They were stuck in the mindset of, oh, Goliath is so much bigger than us, that gives us so many more reasons to back down. This brings me to the topic of underestimation. The Israelites underestimated their power to defeat Goliath, since all it took was a pebble and a sling. Judging off how I described David and Goliath, you would think that Goliath was stronger, but looks don't matter, especially in this context. People complain about how much work they have or something that is holding them back. But people nowadays have what-if attitudes. They are scared of what's to come and they refuse change. They think of, what if this were to happen, or what about that? But it doesn't matter, because the Israelites were scared that Goliath was going to defeat them. That made them fear Goliath himself, but fear of the obstacle increases fear of the thing itself. And imagine the things that David could do if he could defeat Goliath with a pebble and a slingshot. The story of David and Goliath is a story of the underdogs. It's the story of David's success. David's success does not come from his particularly unorthodox choice of a battle weapon, but off of his courage and his faith. The amount of courage that it takes to defeat someone 3 to 4 feet taller than you and has 2 weapons at hand is a pretty hard job. Who here would say that they would be as brave as David and take on Goliath all on their own, and without armor, might I add? According to scholars, although we first encountered Goliath in Samuel 1, when he is killed by David, the original killer of Goliath is Elihan, the son of Jar-Origem. The Bethlehemite appears in Samuel 2, 21:19, where he is credited with killing Goliath. But who knows when Goliath really died? The Bible has been translated down from so many different languages. This story might not even be remotely close to what it was supposed to be. But that's a story for another time. In conclusion, David and Goliath is the best Bible story, and I hope you agree with me and many others. So think about these words to none other than Time himself. You may not be able to change the past, but you may learn something from it. Thank you.
Up next, we have Bianca Alvarado.
Social media has a lot of advantages in our daily lives. This category can vary from teens to adults, but they will all come to the same conclusion. Social media is essential in our lives today. From TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all these popular apps help us in one way or another. But what if I told you that social media is way worse than you think? Let's start off with one of the most famous apps out there. Can you guess? Well, it's TikTok. According to InfluencerMarketingHub.com, TikTok is a short-form video sharing app that allows users to create and share 15 to 60-second videos on any topic. Now, This may seem like a fun and innocent app, right? Well, that's partly wrong, because although TikTok is very fun and entertaining, it's not really that innocent. In fact, it could be considered one of the most toxic apps out there. The reason why I'm saying this is because there are many videos of grown adult men thinking it's okay to be misogynistic towards women. I'm talking 30 to 40-year-old men doing this to teenagers because the app is populated by people from 12 and up. There are also videos of people being racist to the Black, Hispanic, Asian, and Muslim community and many other communities out there. And there are even people who come as far as to judge someone based on their sexuality and if they are part of the LGBTQIA community. Now, I understand this happens all over the world, but I think it's completely unacceptable for TikTok to be letting these types of messages be heard on their platform. The next app I will be talking about is Instagram. According to techterms.com, Instagram is an online photo sharing service. It basically allows you to put filters on your pictures and then share them with others. Now, it's not Instagram that it's the problem, it's more of how it's used. Nowadays, photos are so easy to edit. You can edit a picture in the click of a button and no one would know. Unfortunately, young teen girls and even boys, we compare ourselves to those pictures, and we see each other as not as perfect as those pictures. We as teens, coming from a 13-year-old, and I think many others that are sitting in this audience right now, we feel pressure to look a certain way and to act a certain way. And so as we compare ourselves to these pictures, we think that we are too fat, too ugly, too skinny, etc. While in reality, that's not true. Everyone is a different human being, which means that everyone is different. Everyone looks different. But that doesn't mean you're not beautiful. Everyone's beautiful the way that they are. And if there's anyone out there in this audience that is struggling with self-worth issues, just know that you are perfect the way that you are, and you can't let anyone tell you that otherwise. This is one of the biggest problems out in social media, because people tell you that all of these mean stuff when that's not true at all. The last big problem I will be talking about is cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is the act of using electronic communication to bully a person. People bully in general because they are insecure, jealous, or trying to fit in. Now, these are not all of the reasons why people bully, but these are the 3 most popular reasons on why people do it. Cyberbullying is one of the most abundant problems in social media today, and it should not be messed with because it's just as bad as the old-fashioned bullying. In fact, it can be considered more dangerous since the bullying is behind a screen and no one would know unless the bully gets caught or the victim speaks up. Victims nowadays have trouble speaking up, and in order for bullying to be stopped, it has to be spoken up. And so some victims, like I said before, have trouble speaking up, and unfortunately, some victims can't take it anymore, and they sadly end their life. This shouldn't be the case. We have to be more careful about what we say to others, and especially on the internet, because we don't know what our words have on other people. As time keeps going, social media will keep advancing, but we have to use it responsibly. We have to teach our younger generations how to use it correctly and the negative effects on it, so they don't make a decision that can potentially harm their future. So, what do you think? Does social media have more negative effects than good? Does our generation have a bad influence on social media? Thank you.
Up next is Brian Spellman.
If I were to find a time machine that could take me back to any specific date or time in history, I would choose the summer of 1991. Not for any specific historical event, but for a chance to spend the time with my father and his friends at my age. I would love to build a tree fort with my father and his friends in the open trails and ride bikes that we built with spare parts and ride them on the trails that we made with our rakes and shovels.
Up next, we have Ruby Boating.
The future. In the future, I think we should be riding around space in a rocket ship with Jeff Bezos, or riding on Mars in Teslas. No, that isn't what the world should be imagining when we picture the future. Instead of working to make Mars sustainable for human beings, we should be using our knowledge and resources to make this world a better place. The future seems to have a lot in store for us. Just look at what we've already accomplished. We've put a man on the moon, gone from computers the size of my bedroom to ones that can sit on my lap, and from phones that need cords to phones that can order a car. In the future, I want to see us humans use technology for the greater good, instead of making new, crazy inventions that just deplete our resources. What I think we could really work on saving is the environment. The invention of electric cars is very beneficial to the environment because EVs don't burn fossil fuels like oil and therefore do not emit so many greenhouse gases which harm the environment. The solution we need to be investing in is a way to store and capture renewable resources like the sun, wind, and water so that we aren't constantly burning fossil fuels. We've come so far with technologies to turn solar, hydropower, and wind into electricity, but when it's rainy or not windy out, we can't always rely on those sources. In my opinion, the search into storage for electrical energy is one of the most important things we can do. A priority of our government should be finding a solution to electrical energy storage. Another way we can help our environment is by reducing the amount of meat we consume. Many children hear about reduce, reuse, and recycle, but they don't learn about how much cattle and other animals we use as our protein sources deplete our ecosystem. The process of getting animals from the farm to our table makes up to 15% of greenhouse gas emissions, and the cattle industry is the worst. Cows also use much more of our resources than they give back. I'm sure many of you would gag at the idea of eating an insect, and so would I. But things like crickets are so much better for the environment than cows. Humans have been eating animals for centuries, and if you think about it, insects are just like animals. All it takes is for a really good chef to find a recipe you like and replace crickets for chicken, and I think you'll be hooked after one bite. One cricket holds so much protein and fat that it's almost the same you'd be getting from a huge piece of meat. Other countries have eaten insects for a while, and places like the Netherlands are slowly embracing the new addition. So why shouldn't we? To be honest, I wouldn't want a bug in my lunch either, but in a couple of years, our population will be too large to be sustained on just meat. It's a bit like masks. No one is excited to wear them every day, but we do it to help our community, and after a while, we get used to them. Next, in 20 years, I think the way that children are taught and how they go to school will be very different. One of the big changes that I think will happen in schools is how they help students deal with their mental health issues. The pandemic seems to make us all much more aware of how fragile we are as a society. I'm not sure our parents have all the skills to help us kids cope with our stresses, but it seems like schools should have all the resources to put together mental health programs. In the future, I can see where regular classes like gym, or maybe it's an after-school program that teaches us how to work with our stress. Plus, putting a regular class in place would help all students, not just more wealthy students who can afford psychologists. I can see a day in the future where mental health class is just like gym. The harmful effects of social media have been discussed a lot recently. I think schools should hold talks about social media and mental health that us kids will really listen to. If it comes from a person they respect, then those kids will try and implement that into their lives. I also think there should be someone at school for the kids to talk to when they feel overwhelmed, because being at school, holding in that stress all day is never a good thing. In conclusion, the future is a lot to think about. Whether it's the environment or how our schools can help us with mental health issues, there all need to be changes. These are important issues and they need to be addressed. We can talk about it all we want, but sooner or later we'll have to take action. We'll only have ourselves to blame if we don't make positive changes for our future. Thank you.
Next we have Hannah Pack.
Hi, my name's Hannah Pack, and today I will be telling you what I do if I find a time machine. If I find a time machine, I'll definitely go to August 4th, 1962 at 8 p.m. Why, you may ask? Well, that was around 4 hours before Marilyn Monroe passed away. For those of you who don't know who she is, Marilyn Monroe was an American actress, model, and singer. She was one of the most greatest fashion icons in American history and inspired a lot of us today. Today, I'll be talking about her history and why she became a star. I hope you all enjoy. Marilyn was born on June 1st, 1926, and her birth name was Norma Jean Baker, but I will still be calling her Marilyn just so there is no confusion later on in this speech. Marilyn's father was an alcoholic who left her and her mother when she was very young. Marilyn's mother, Gladys Pearl Baker, had to raise her for most of her childhood, but was locked in an asylum after some time due to paranoid schizophrenia, leaving Marilyn in and out of foster homes for 10 years. She was left shy and quiet from the abuse she was given from her caregivers. To escape that abuse, she married a sailor and became a housewife at 16. During World War II is when she had her big break. While she was working at a factory, she met a photographer named David Conover, who was taking pictures of the women at work. To this day, she felt inspired and began doing modeling work and assigning herself to modeling companies. She changed her name to Marilyn Monroe and dyed her hair blonde. By 1946, she signed a contract with 20th Century Fox. Even though they didn't really think much of her at first, they soon realized her potential. 6 years later, she became a huge success, starring in the old classic Gentlemen for Blondes and other various roles, earning her a spot in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and even getting a chance to sing Happy Birthday to the President John F. Kennedy. Now what about the husband? Well, she sadly divorced her husband after some time due to conflicts with the modeling agency and the acting life. She married other ones, such as the famous baseball player Joe DiMaggio. But sadly, she did have many affairs at the time. But hold on to that, because I'll be talking more about it as we go on with this speech. Now, at this point of her career, she was very depressed. She suffered from schizophrenia like her mom, and anxiety too. She now had this reputation of being late to work, and even showing up drunk, or late most of the time. And finally, in June, she fired. She sat in her house for days on end, and after several months, she was found dead at 4 a.m. Now, there are many conspiracies pertaining to Marilyn Monroe's death, but I would like to talk about how she was dead first. First of all, she was in her house in Los Angeles, like I mentioned. She was supposed to have dinner at John Lawford's house that night, but canceled. Instead, she went to bed early at 8 p.m. At 12 a.m., her housekeeper, Ewan Murray, saw that the light was on and the doors were locked. She didn't really think much of it at first, but at 3:30 a.m., she started to grow suspicious and called in Marilyn's personal therapist to break down the door. He did, and he saw Marilyn dead, face down on the ground, with a telephone in her hand. And aside from her were pill caps and empty pill bottles, at least 14 of them. Now back to the theories. We all know there are a lot of theories pertaining to Marilyn Monroe, but I would like to talk about the most famous one, was when John F. Kennedy was involved. I believe she was murdered. And I'm going to tell you why. You know how I know about affairs? You know how I told you about affairs? Well, how would you believe me if I told you that John F. Kennedy had an affair with Marilyn Monroe? And I'll explain why. A few months ago before she died, there was a phone call recorded of Marilyn Monroe and John F. Kennedy. She stated that if John F. Kennedy didn't leave his wife or his kids for her, then she would expose not only her affair but something else. See, when you're having an affair with the president, you hear a lot of government secrets. And she was smart, and she kept them in a little red book. The government obviously got scared of this because she was a threat now, and sent her psychiatrist to go and threaten her to keep quiet. But obviously that didn't go as planned, because she was found dead. Now I think of this as a really sad moment for her because she was a really sweet person, and I believe things like this, she shouldn't have to die. I think that due to the drugs in her brain, she was being very irrational and spoke out of turn. And I think that with enough help, she could have been such a great person. But while I was writing this speech today, I learned a very important lesson, and I think you should too. That being pretty doesn't mean you have a pretty life. Just because somebody has a pretty face doesn't mean they get everything they want, and they have such a perfect life and you can't stand it. But I feel like that we should all be considering of people's lives at home, and that we should all try to help others in need. I also think that if Marilyn was here today, she would be able to do so many other great things. But for now, I would like her to rest in peace. Thank you.
Last up, we have Henry Broidy.
Gentlemen who have released your basketball, please come in. Kathy, hand you the last speaker?
Yeah.
My topic is time travel. So, we have always dreamed about time travel, but I always loved to pretend that I live in a different time era, in a time where there was innocence, and in this safer time where family mattered more than ever. What time would I travel to? Of course, when you think of time travel, you think of science fiction from the future. But time travel is here, and I can go back to any time I wish. It holds potential for further research and history. As I like to say, time travels as fast as wind, but at the same time, as slow as a lifetime. I would like to go back to the late 1920s as the teenager I am. I would like to meet Louis Armstrong, a famous jazz musician. The 1920s, or the Roaring Twenties, are considered a time where the economy prospered and people had carefree living. The telephone was just invented, and I could buy an old-fashioned new Ford car. I play the saxophone and piano, and I love to participate in jazz bands, which were very popular in the 1920s. I would like to talk to Louis Armstrong about playing in one of his bands. I could share my creativity in the decade of change. Playing in bands makes me feel confident and supported because I know that people will enjoy the music I play. I would want to be part of the great changes of the 20s. I could contribute to the evolution of music. I could even be recognized for doing what I love and enjoy. My favorite song that Louis Armstrong wrote was What a Wonderful World, even though it was released in the 1960s, because its lyrics showed passion and beauty. Today, it is hard to see the beauty in the world with all of our controversy and division. But the song that Louis sang reminded me of a time that was more civil, united, and innocent. Today, it is hard to have those things because we are so divided. I have always dreamed about spreading joy like Louis Armstrong. His songs always give me a warm feeling inside. They make me picture a warm, sunny day in spring where life is just emerging out from the dark and cold winter. With its happy jazz music, I think that it would light up someone's day. Its music is so uplifting. So, in conclusion, when the time comes for me to have access to time travel, I would no doubtedly go back to the late 1920s. I would want to talk to Louis Armstrong and get advice from him. I would participate in his bands, be a part of the great changes of the 20s, and I would spread joy and excitement through music. The generation of the 1920s was filled with integrity and unity. They were not distracted by today's technology with cell phones, television, computers, iPads, and more. They were able to socialize with each other, and they were able to interact with each other, and to do so as a family, which is what I have always desired. I will continue to dream for that one day in the future where in reality I can go back in time to interact with one of my favorite musicians and experience an era filled with innovation, joy, and innocence. Thank you.
That will conclude our speech contest. I think we just need a minute for the judges to deliberate, but everybody did a great job, so let's give them another round of applause.
Very, very close to the end. You're on time. I'm going to ask Mrs. Van Hatten to bring in the list of walkers and riders so that we can do it here. Okay, so we'll do it quickly. And then please give the certificates to the homeroom teachers. Be a little bit quicker. Could all the contestants stand up for a minute, please? I was sitting in the back and saying, these are my kids. You are absolutely incredible. There was not one up there that I could not say, God, this kid really thought this thing through. So teachers, you picked all the right people, but your whole thought process is really so excellent. And I also have to commend the audience. This is hard after the kind of crazy day we had today. It's very, very hard for you to sit here for this amount of time. You were wonderful. So give yourselves a big round of applause. Contestants, sit for 1 minute. Everybody else stand up and stretch.
Oh, let's do the intermediate first, because intermediate really blew me away. I could not believe your 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Incredible. Okay, we'll go from the back end. In 3rd place, in the intermediate, that's grade 3, 4, and 5, Edward Cabrera Brooks. By the way, this trophy says 2021 on it, because when I ordered them, they said, oh, it's 2021-22 school year. That's why. It also says January 31st, because it was supposed to be yesterday. Okay, so pretend it's not. In 2nd place, in the intermediate, Olh Pakisasi. And the winner in the intermediate group, the 1st place winner, everyone was a winner, to quote everybody else, Addison Cinelli. And those 3 people, please stand up in the front, stand together so we can have a group picture. All right, in the prep group, that was hard.
Very hard.
Prep group had a lot to say, and you really did it extremely, extremely well. All right, in 3rd place, in prep, Ruby Boating. 2nd place in the prep division, Olivia Caruso. And the 1st place winner, and remember the 2 winners in each one of the 2 divisions gets their name on the plaque in the back. So the name that's going on there with Addison will be Lucy Tillotson. Okay, so I need 6 trophy winners up in front for a group picture. Everyone else, please, let's put our chairs, just push them in. Don't worry about it. And again, thank you for being a great, great group.